The very foundations of the arena seemed to groan in protest, still reverberating from the seismic shockwaves of the main event. This wasn't just a wrestling match. It was a tectonic shift in the very landscape of WWE, a violent, bloody coup d'état that had left the entire WWE universe reeling. The air itself was a palpable, electric fog, a swirling cocktail of pyro smoke, rising heat, and the pure, unadulterated adrenaline of thousands of souls who had just witnessed a ritualistic dismantling of their heroes. From the opening bell, it was clear this was not a contest of sport, but an execution. Bron Breakker and Big Bronson Reed, two titans forged in a new, merciless era, moved with a synchronized, predatory instinct. Breakker was a blur of explosive, almost feral energy, his spears hitting with the force of a cannon shot. Reed was an immovable object and an unstoppable force combined, a mountain of muscle that used its sheer mass as a weapon, crushing the spirit as well as the body. Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton, two legends whose hearts were as vast as their resumes, fought with the valor of men who had built this kingdom brick by brick. They drew on decades of experience, trading hope for defiance, countering arrogance with cunning. But on this night, heart was not enough. It was a storm against a seawall, and the storm was winning. Every German suplex from Breakker, every crushing splash from Reed, was another crack in the foundation. The final moments were not of a pinfall, but of a surrender of the body. Rhodes and Orton left as broken monuments on the canvas, their legacy momentarily silenced by the overwhelming force of the present. Standing tall amidst the wreckage they had created, Breakker and Reed were the very picture of the New World Order. The arena's chorus of boos was not a sound of disapproval to them, it was a symphony of validation, proof that their message of conquest had been received loud and clear. Breakker, his chest heaving, crouched beside the barely conscious Cody Rhodes. The smirk that played on his lips was not just one of victory, but of profound, unsettling arrogance. He leaned in close, his voice a venomous whisper that cut through the noise and was captured for eternity by the ringside microphones. "This is our time now," he hissed, each word dripping with contempt. "The old guard is dead. We're not waiting for a torch. We're taking the whole damn fortress." As if on cue, Bronson Reed, a glistening colossus under the harsh arena lights, pounded his chest with fists like sledgehammers. The resulting roar was not human, it was a primal declaration from the depths of some ancient, powerful place, a sound that seemed to vibrate in the very bones of every person in the building. Together, they stood side by side, bathing in the hatred, their confidence an impenetrable fortress. Breakker seized a microphone, ready to etch his proclamation into the history books. But the universe had other plans. First, a flicker, a nervous twitch in the overhead lights. The crowd's unified hatred wavered, splintering into a confused murmur. Then, a second, longer flicker, and a wave of anticipation swept through the arena. Before a third could come, total and absolute blackness descended. The void was instantaneous and profound. No light, no entrance music, just the haunting, collective gasp of thousands, followed by a silence so heavy it felt like a physical weight. In that darkness, time stood still. Then, a low, guttural growl rumbled from the speakers, a sound that seemed to originate from the bowels of the earth. It shook the floor and rattled teeth. The Titantron erupted to life, and the iconic, grimacing skull logo flashed across the screen, a harbinger of pure chaos. The voice of a demonic announcer boomed, shaking the very rafters. "Fire Brock Lesnar. Fire." The explosion of sound that followed was unlike anything heard all night. It was pure, unbridled pandemonium. And then, the music hit. That unmistakable, punishing chord progression that could only mean one thing. The beast incarnate was here. Brock Lesnar emerged from the shadows of the stage, and he was not there for a parade. His face was a mask of cold, unadulterated fury. He didn't saunter. He marched with the grim purpose of a natural disaster given form. His eyes, burning with a terrifying intensity, were locked on the ring, ignoring the adoring chaos around him. Every stomp down the ramp was a promise of violence, his body a coiled spring of rage and raw power. The arena lights glinted off the sweat on his sculpted physique, making him look less like a man and more like a weapon of war coming to life. Inside the ring, the invincible aura surrounding Breakker and Reed shattered in an instant. Breakker's smug grin melted away, replaced by the wide-eyed unease of a challenger who just realized he was in over his head. Reed's defiant roar died in his throat, his massive frame seeming to shrink under the weight of Lesnar's predatory gaze. They exchanged a single, frantic glance, a silent acknowledgement that they had awoken something they could not put down. Lesnar circled the ring like a great white shark, his expression unreadable but his intent clear. Breaker, trying desperately to reclaim his bravado, shouted a weak, "You think you can stop us, old man?" The crack in his voice betrayed the fear he was trying to hide. Lesnar offered no retort. He didn't need to. In a breathtaking display of speed that defied his massive size, he launched himself onto the apron and slid into the ring with a single, fluid motion. The arena erupted. "This is awesome" chant, a testament to the historic nature of the moment. Bronson Reed, either out of fearless defiance or sheer desperation, charged first. It was a titanic collision, but the impact was brutally one-sided. Lesnar didn't just clothesline him, he detonated a bomb. The force lifted the 330-pound Reed off his feet, sending him flipping backward in a helpless cartwheel over the top rope to crash onto the floor with a sickening, echoing thud. Seeing his partner dismantled so effortlessly, Breaker screamed and launched a frantic, all-out assault, driving Lesnar into the corner and unleashing a flurry of punches. For a fleeting second, it looked like momentum might be on his side. That illusion was vaporized when Lesnar's hand, like a vice, caught him. In one terrifying, seamless motion, he spun Breaker and launched him across the ring with a German suplex that made the entire ring structure shudder. Then came another. And another. The ring became a violent, shaking canvas of destruction with each successive suplex, the crowd counting in a roaring unison, their voices shaking the building. Breaker was no longer a conqueror. He was a ragdoll, broken and gasping, crawling pathetically for the ropes that offered no salvation. Lesnar, the Predator moving in for the kill, showed no mercy. He hauled Breaker onto his shoulders, paused for a terrifying moment to let the cameras capture the full scope of the impending doom, and delivered the F5. The impact was concussive, a final, brutal period at the end of Breaker's sentence. The crowd exploded into absolute bedlam. As Lesnar stood tall, his chest heaving, he slowly turned his gaze toward the outside of the ring. Bronson Reed, dazed and struggling to his feet, met that stare. It was a look that conveyed 1,000 words, a promise of pain, a statement of dominance, a warning of annihilation. No words were needed. Reed, the monster of the new era, froze, then slowly began to back away, dragging his fallen comrade's limp body with him in a full, terrified retreat. Then, a new figure emerged at the top of the ramp, Paul Heyman. His face was ashen, his eyes wide with a mixture of shock and awe. He clutched a phone to his ear, whispering frantically, his usual bravado replaced by the stunned realization that the force he once managed was now an untamed, unpredictable cataclysm. Lesnar ignored him. He bent down, picked up the microphone Breaker had dropped, and held it with a grip that could crush steel. He stared directly into the hard camera, his voice a low, gravelly growl that promised nothing but suffering. "You two want to make a name for yourselves," he growled, the menace in his tone dripping from every syllable. "Try surviving me first." The mic hit the mat with a definitive thud, its echo swallowed by the resurgence of his theme music and the deafening roar of the crowd. As SmackDown faded to black, the final image was not of the young, ambitious future, but of the enduring, dominant present. Brock Lesnar stood alone in a ring of chaos, a king returned to his kingdom, his fists clenched and his glare a silent war declaration. The new era had made its statement, but the beast had just delivered his rebuttal. The throne was not vacant, and the hunt for any who dared to challenge him had officially begun.